I love horror games. I love horror games. An oxymoron, you say? Well, no, I'm actually quite slight these days. But the predicament that I find myself in is most certainly an odd one. You see, I hate being scared. I am a self-professed coward when it comes to horror games, yet I continue to play them regardless. I like them so much that I played a handful and recorded my time with them. Just a little note, the Resident Evil Remake one is a little bit weak, the others are better. Varying degrees of better, but better nonetheless. And be it in video games or films, I'm also not keen on wallowing in the misery of others. I'm well stocked in that front myself. So why do I willfully subject myself to this emotional roller coaster? Well, if you watch me play Devotion, I touched upon it there. I love horror games because they have to focus on aspects that other games can simply neglect to be effective. Many games can get away with lackluster sound design, plain art design, a journey paced by a stalling car on a bumpy road, and the atmospheric equivalents of the moon. Horror games, or those with a focus on, horror, typically need to be able to hit most of these to be successful. For me, typically there are two types of horror game. There's your, for lack of a better term, trashy horror game, the fast food of horror. Games where you walk on through, waiting for the inevitable punch in the face that can come in the form of visuals, audio, or a combination of both. These games create a sense of anxiety, like walking down a line of people shaking their hands and you know that one of these plonkers has a buzzer at the ready. And as you make your way down, you'll get anxious, you'll get shocked, you'll continue, you'll be more anxious, you'll get shocked, and so on. The process becoming increasingly dulled, till it becomes boring and then irritating. It's just not a sustainable design in the long term, and personally, I do not have much of an interest in it. Then you have the nefarious horror games. These are the ones that strive not for anxiety, but dread. These are the horror games that override all common sense and intrigue me. Because, for these games to capture the imagination and to be truly effective, it requires intelligent use of audio, visuals, and pacing. Any idiot can play a drone in the background accompanied by an assortment of bangs and royalty-free screams haphazardly flung around. Any pilot can throw around some bloody cows and eye-roll and do some wall text in, "I know, there be spookies about," written in blood. Any numpty can leave giant gaps between encounters that fill you more with boredom than tension. When firing on all cylinders, or depending on the game, even half of them. They can build a strong atmosphere, tension, unease, foreboding, paranoia, and then let you soak in it, creating the unmistakable, soul-crushing sensation of dread. You know something's coming. You don't know where, you do not know when, you don't know the scale, but the scale is bloody irrelevant. If you want an example of dread, here you go. Do you ever get the feeling when you play a horror game or anything where it's just like, you're not scared yet, but you know you're going to be? And instead of like nervously pushing on or stopping because of fear, you just kind of give up. Like, and it's just, you know what? I'm just done. I'm just want to walk away now. Kind of like that right now. God, this is, no. I don't know what it is. Something about this is really just... It's an angry bed again. Sure. Yeah. I legitimately don't want to play anymore. Because Now you may be thinking that list I made could easily match up to anxiety, and you're certainly not wrong. They are two sides of the same coin in a sense, however the difference is in the details and the results. Let's compare two simple scares. Okay, it's kind of dabbled in some light game making. They says, so this is how AI is done. They made some AI some very, very rudimentary, and I would really struggle to call it AI. Oops. Everything you do sucks. Everything, every little attempt at horror falls on my arse. Cause I couldn't even make it to my fucking ear. Yeah, we can't really do people, but We can make dolls. Because why make people when you can make creepy fucking dolls? It's smart. I don't trust you. You especially. I don't trust any of you, but you. You with your flared jacket and you're not facing me because you're an evil bastard, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Look at him there. If that's not an evil bastard, I don't know what is. Why are you reading evil bastard? Evil? Possibly evil due to the nature of the lighting. Hello! Wooden wife. Please don't stab me with the kitchen knife. Evil you fat knew it! That's why I love this style of horror game. It makes mountains out of molehills. So, why the huge disparity in reaction? Well, that's answered in how we got there. In Cold Fear, you deal with obnoxious sound mixing, bland environments, numerous fights, and numerous half-assed, bog-standard, poorly executed jump scares. There was zero time given to actually form any kind of atmosphere, even for the very first scare to have any impact. And then after dealing with all this over 30 minutes, we get to this, and I'm gone. The game has completely lost me at this point, there's no turning back. Though admittedly, its fate was sealed here. Are you going to get up? Are you going to be a lame ass scare? You are, aren't you? Oh, you're going to be a lame ass scare. Or not. Or you will. And you were... Wow, you were actually lamer than a fuck. As for devotion, you walk through dense, detailed environments with great lighting, subtle sound work, and some striking imagery. And even though this happens in the first 5 minutes... Oh, goody. I'm happy man in happy place. Oh God, don't use oh no. I hate that. I hate that scare every time. It gets me. The game is paced so well that I have calmed down and become hooked back into the game's atmosphere, and the tension is beginning to, and successfully builds, once again as we arrive at scare number 2. And all of this occurs within the first 20 minutes. This, in short, is one of the main reasons I love horror games, or I guess a certain type of horror game, as horror games with a more gameplay focus tend to have a more unique playstyle than other games. Take Resident Evil. Shut up, it's relevant! Whilst Resident Evil can be high on atmosphere, I would regard it as a tense experience than a scary one, though it certainly has its boogity moments. In a way, I guess it operates between those two types of horror games I talked about earlier. In Resident Evil, the gameplay is what adds to the overall mood of the game, more so than the sound design or art direction, although those certainly have their moments. If you remember to turn it on. After all this time, did I do something? Oh my God. Oh my God. The limited resources, space, the need for some of that precious space to be taken up by keys and not the means to increase your survivability, the obfuscation of what's in the room you occupy through the camera angles, etc. It all comes together to create a flow and mindset that you just don't find often in non-horror games. Personally, I'm more fond of this gameplay focused horror. Though admittedly, that's because, oh no, where did I play this? Block is practically free! And that, in short, is why I love horror games. In spite of being a massive coward.
This house is too dangerous. There are terrible demons. Ouch! Here comes the challenger!
That's right.
I am an idiot.
At the request of my friend, Leon S. Kennedy,
What?
I came here to investigate. Oh, yes. I remember everything.
Tell me the truth. You